Hello, friends. This is Chris Jansen. Excited to talk to you today about the Freedom Under Natural Law Conference, the fifth one of its kind. Check out freedomundernaturallaw.com if you haven't yet. Why haven't you been there yet? We got some great presenters lined up for this year. I'm really looking forward to all the parallels, synchronicities, and deep understandings that's going to occur on February 21st and 22nd, free online conference. We got a home run hitter, Grand Slam presentation maker here with us today in the house. I got Nate Cap from cubbyhole.com. What's up, Nate? Thanks for
Hey,
joining me.
hey, Chris. Thanks for having me, and really looking forward to being part of the Funnel Conference again. And it's just really awesome what you guys have done so far, and just really looking forward to delivering my new uh, Oculus presentation. So,
Right on. Well, you got the spire right on your chest there, and I saw your Christmas or snow spire you made out of the snow online when you shared that. That was pretty cool. You just carry
oh
that awesome symbology everywhere you go, ice, snow, shirt, wherever you're at. You want to talk a little bit about what you got planned for the your presentation for this year?
yeah. Well, it's funny that you mentioned that. Because I built that big spiral cone out of snow with my wife Cindy, and that was right in my mother and Doug's front yard. And we were. I mean, I built it because we're going into that time, into the winter solstice, and just thought I'd give them a little gift, and or we wanted them to have a gift, and it's a symbol of marriage, truly, when you really understand what the symbol represents. But we put the star on top, and that represents Polaris, and it's all about the spiral is the development of the self, to be aligned, to that the axis point. And this is about alignment to the higher self. And so that's what my new Oculus presentation is all about. It is a follow up to Oculus One, with the subtitle "The Sacred Cone," and it means a lot to me. It's a uh, very powerful symbol that is very occulted. Um, it is something that not too many people know about, and it's not something that I hear too many people or too many other researchers or um, mystics talk about in any different mystery traditions. But it is the symbol to really understand the Holy Trinity. It is, like said, with the circle dot in the Oculus Part One. Oculus meaning eye. The circle dot is the eye, and so this is a three-dimensional form that I really want people to understand, in the sense of we can't understand, the one without understanding the two. So two dimensions. And we really can't understand the two dimensions without the three dimensions. And so what this symbol, um, what it does is it invokes growth in the self. It is a symbol that and one of the other things that I have never seen any other researcher talk about is the spiral overlaying the cone. Now, this is something that I learned, as far as like the spiral staircase. I learned this through the mystery tradition known as Freemasonry, esoteric Freemasonry. So it's about understanding the second degree spiral staircase. But one of the things also that I have not heard anybody else talk about is the pole. And so I kind of briefly talked about this in Oculus One, but now I'm trying to put a finer point on this symbol and what it really represents at a very deeper level. And so, symbolism is something that is really highly lacking in this community that we're all part of. And I know that this is something that I talk about in my work quite a bit. It's something that I care very deeply about. And I think that what people don't understand is that if you're not actually taking part in understanding symbolism, you're going to stay in materialism. That's just the way it works, because we have to understand that the universe is made of geometry. Geometry is built into the fabric of our universe for us, people who have reason, people who have the ability to discover the mind. It's built right into the fabric for us to understand as a communication instrument with the great architect of the universe, or the divine geometer of the universe. And so, what I'm trying to do is inspire people to see that there's so much more to the symbol that really invokes growth, that really invokes connection, that really invokes um, awareness and consciousness and clarity, because that's really what it's about. It's about clarity. And so, if we really want to see freedom in this world, then we're going to have to understand that symbolism is part of that journey, because symbolism is what helps us again understand the archetypal forms that are built into the universe by the great architect. And so we have this high responsibility. And one of the reasons why um, so many people, including the people that are in this community that we're all part of, we don't realize that we're in a condition of apathy. And apathy is what's going on down here in the circle, okay, where we don't have any care for the center. We don't have any care for clarity. We have no target in mind. We have no understanding of purpose or meaning. And so we're just going in circles down here in darkness, not understanding what the main goal of life really is.
Oh
And
boy.
not understanding that we're in a condition of apathy, which is the absence of care. And so we're just going in circles. We're just, in
Like
the
swimming in a pool.
right. We're just swimming in a pool with, not knowing where to go or what to do. And it's because we've been in a condition of no care. And we don't realize that this is a perpetual condition that's been conditioned into us. And so, what this symbol represents, what I'm trying to inspire in people, what I'm trying to invoke, what I'm trying to help people see, to become aware of, is that we have the ability to rise out of that mire of ignorance and apathy. We have that ability. That's what this symbol is trying to tell us. And so it's a responsibility to truth. And you know, this is this is really about finding your true north. Because once you start to understand natural law, then you have the ability to awaken that kundalini,
Hmm.
to rise to your higher self. And this is what you and I were talking about right before we went on here.
Yeah.
This was sacrifice.
I'm glad you brought out that pun too, because like I got to go on a trip a few years ago to England and France, and I got to check out some of those castles, and those were amazing. And they had the circular staircases that will blow your mind.
Mm,
And I'm inside of one that's got a spire at the top, and I'm like, I'm in a spire. How
yeah.
inspiring. I couldn't help it. But I've always thought of a circular staircase myself. I've always thought of that movie, The Never Ending Story, because they had the big white ivory towers and there were windows ever so often going up. And I've always imagined as we're building our consciousness, as we're expanding our consciousness, trying to learn in this realm, we should be climbing that white divine staircase where we see out of new windows the higher we get up that spiraling staircase. So our view of the realm that we're in becomes more and more expansive as we climb that staircase. It's a beautiful allegory, and I'm one who's all about symbols. I love symbolism. That's partly why I probably love what you talk about so much. I had a great time this last year studying on symbolism, and I think symbolism offers us a way to be inspired because there is built into stretching your brain. That's where these connections and synapses and these extra things can come from that aren't there seemingly before we find them. So, is there a particular thing that happened? Were you inside of a spire like I was when you go, oh my gosh, the spire? What got you going on this? Do you remember, or is that something you can quantify at all?
Well, um, I would just say maybe it's not one thing in particular. I did actually go to Rome, and I went up the spiral staircase in the one of those one of the most um, famous cathedrals. It wasn't Rome; it was Florence. And I went up the spiral staircase and actually filmed it, and I actually used that in one of my presentations. I think it was the Funnel 3 presentation Oculus that I shared that. But um, understanding that we can't just beamline to the truth. We can't just arrive at the truth. It's an unfoldment, and so that's what spiritual spire ritual is about. And obviously I've been highly inspired by a lot of traditions, especially the Masonic craft masonry tradition. And obviously have who isn't inspired by Passio and his work on a lot of symbolism, and also Albert Churchward and Albert Mackey. But again, this right here really just it came to me. It's not something that I heard from anywhere else. But when I started to understand what the spire represented, and understanding that it's about, where all the parts are coming into a unified, point. And, this also was inspired by the ritual of Osiris, because Osiris represents wholeness in his pure form, but then he is chopped up by his brother Set, who chops him up into 14 pieces and then scatters his body throughout the world to the four corners of the earth. And this is the care principle is Isis in this Cometian ancient Egyptian tradition. And Isis is the one who goes in search for the missing pieces to put them back together, to put her husband back together. And what that represents is the care to go find all of those pieces to put them back into something pure. And that's even in that tradition you have Thoth, who represents fashioning a phallus. Okay, so that's That's that missing part. That's responsibility to truth. That's really what that's about. And so I I mean, there's a lot of things that have inspired me, but geometry in general has been very inspiring just by paying attention to the form and then what is associated with the form, and understanding dark to light, understanding chaos to order, truly in nature, understanding, apathy to care, and from irresponsibility to responsibility. And so, or from slavery to ignorant, or to truth, not ignorance, slavery to truth. um and realizing, everything that's been going on in this world for my whole life has been an inspiration to uh seek out something further. I've always been very curious. Now, obviously, the way that I was raised in my beginning years, that really wasn't completely up to me. But just hearing people who speak words of wisdom, who are challenging the status quo of the system that we're part of, who bring um, logic to the table, reason to the table. These types of people have been very inspiring to me, to think about things, even symbolically, because go all the way through history and you'll find people use symbols as a way to invoke, what it is that how they carry themselves, what they're saying. Like, even right now, as I'm wearing this symbol on my chest, it is because of the fact that I'm speaking. Everything that I'm talking about in this conversation has to do with this symbol. So I'm invoking. I'm giving association to the symbol. I'm giving power to the symbol, so that way it resonates, it inspires. And so, um, I
That's
don't have.
exciting. It builds, like we've noticed before, inspiration builds too.
That's right.
Like when we've watched each other's presentations during one of these conferences, we're each getting more excited, and then towards the next one, the things that everybody else talked about build on the next one, and these symbols that are built into nature offer endless opportunity of discovery. And it's like I've always thought about that, how realization and discovery and awakening, these things are like these magical aspects of this reality, and there's no end to them. You can't stop realizing things. It's not, you don't get to a point where you're like, oh, I know it all. No way, man. This universe is constantly unfolding and unwrapping. And the harder you look and the more you train your mind, the more you can see, and the more you can unwrap and the more trouble you might get into too. But
Right.
I guess I'm really curious, the concept for ignites hearts and minds is the what we came up with for funnel 5, and the concept of fire, which is very talk about metaphysical, something that's even in the physical world that you can look at, but it's never quite the same. Try to draw fire, right? It's one of the harder things to draw. So I'm curious, what is it you're hoping to light up in people, or the spark that you'd like to share from these topics?
Well, one thing I wanted to say on what you just mentioned is, like, this continuation of the unfoldment. I really want to touch on that real quick, just because it's something that I've been thinking about a lot. And a lot of people are, especially in this community, might get fixated on, oh, this person is already saying this stuff, so I don't want to talk about it. That is where we are failing, because if someone is already saying something so well and so profound, and you're afraid to say what they're saying or sound like them or whatever, you're not learning that this is about your individual journey. That's what this is all about. And yeah, we will, we will all be on a similar frequency if, if truth is really what you're after. But, just understanding that um w- there is no one owns knowledge. And just because someone says it so well, just because someone writes it so well, or just because someone uses a certain aesthetic so well, does not mean that you cannot, emulate that and or mimic that to some degree. And that doesn't mean you're being a copycat. It just means that you're trying to align with that frequency that you see as valuable. And so a lot of people get caught up in these head cages, these traps, where they think that, just because someone says it so great, or looks so great, or sounds so great, that I can't do that. I'm not going to, even try because I don't want to sound like them. It's like, well, you're never going to sound, no one's ever going to sound exactly like someone else. You're always going to be unique, and you're going to find your uniqueness through that. So I just want to make that point. Now, when it comes to um, this, I first of all, I wanted to say this in the beginning. Funnel 5, freedom under natural law 5. 5 is a very powerful, powerful number to understand. And the fact that it's about igniting hearts and minds, that fire in the middle, like, the pyramidal, the pyramid, the fire in the middle. That's what pyramid means. And this is about igniting that spiral all the way up to your highest, clearest self. And that's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of care. That's going to take a lot of responsibility. And so what I'm trying to say is that if the form is telling you, I mean, it's invoking this, but the form is it is incorruptible in its pure form. Now, obviously, when you're looking at this symbol right here, this is not a.
It's almost like a mountain begging you to climb it.
That's right. That's exactly what it is. It's a mountain. And so what you're supposed to understand is the great work takes the tenacity of the climb. It takes um, just being tenacious because you truly want to understand, because you truly want to be clear in your thinking, because you truly want to rise above your apathy and darkness and ignorance. And that doesn't mean get rid of darkness, okay? Because there's two sides to darkness. Darkness truly is what we need to understand deeply in order to rise. And that's part of understanding, the myth of the underworld and the mist, the mystery traditions. It's about my story, right? The individual's story, the journey to go, to the depths in order to rise up into understanding the whole body. Because again, we're in materialism. People are going to have a very tough time understanding that we live in a world of materialism. And I know people know this deep down. We all know this deep down, that that's what we are all part of and have been for a very long time. But the goal is to inspire that fire in the middle, to um, find your animism worldview, to understand how everything is connected, to find that rise, that ascension, that does not leave the ground. You have to remember this point right here is the anchor. And that also represents natural law. That's the principle. If you don't have natural law, if you don't have an understanding of morality, you're not going to you're not going to have a reason to go further. It's not because, and so that's why we're so heavily in materialism in apathy, it's very difficult to rise to freedom if we don't have that understanding of natural law. That's why natural law is so pivotal. That's why it's the crux of the occult. And so I'm trying to, help people understand that, there's something very important about this particular symbol in its pure form. And I'm going to talk about the pure form in the presentation, but how it is here to ignite your heart and mind to the highest, to your highest, to your best self, to your, most clear minded self.
And what better project could one have than to work on being your highest self, to
Right.
head in that direction, to aim your arrow and shoot it in that direction? That's what we're trying to inspire. And you guys got a presentation to look forward to here. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Nate's putting together. And I know I'm working on slides myself and getting very excited about this conference. So I really thank you for setting aside this time to give people a little heads up, a little hint to persuade them in the direction of setting February and 21st and 22nd of next month aside. Put that on your calendar now, because this conference is going to be epic. And so that's about all for today. Unless you got any last words for our audience, check out cubbyhole.com, folks. Anything else you wanted to say to our listeners, Nate?
Yeah. Just focus on the point in reality. Focus on, if you haven't found purpose yet, keep focusing on the point. And in everything, focus on the center and you will find the truth. So that's what I have to say. And yeah, please, if you want to go further into my work, you can go to cubbyhole.com, CUBBYWHOLE.com, and check out the podcast in order. And there's a lot of information there that I put together with the help of Douglas and Brandon Martin, who are also just powerhouses in symbolism. And it's going to be a really awesome conference. I think that, when people really understand what that 5 represents, it's going to really deliver so much more of a punch. So thank you,
Right on.
Chris. You're awesome, man. I really appreciate all your efforts. I appreciate everybody who has put these funnel conferences together, taking the time, all their time to put these. I know what it's like to put a conference together or help put a conference together, and it's not easy. And so the fact that you guys are still doing it and kicking ass, it's really amazing, and it's honorable to be part of it. So
Right on.
appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Nate. And folks, we'll see you at the conference.
Funnel 5, a free 2-day online conference.
Ignite hearts and minds.
The event that will spark truth, love, and freedom.
February 21st and 22nd, 2026.
For more information, visit freedomundernaturallaw.com.